Hello everybody, my name is Erin and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about the books that I read in the month of January. January was a bit of a slow start for me. Usually in the past I've managed to read quite a few books in the month of January. This year not the case, but I was in a bit of a transitional period, so I understand why, and it's okay. I still managed to read 7 books, which is quite a lot for some people. So I would love to share with you today what I thought about those books. So the first book that I read in the year, generally over the past few years, I've started my year with a reread, and I reread The Test by Sylvain Neuvel. I read this in the middle of last year, and I've been itching to reread it because I just adore it. So it's this like speculative, futuristic story, and it's set up really interestingly. It's set up like a citizenship test, a British citizenship test, and we follow our main character who is writing the test, and then things just go horribly wrong. And it's very interesting, and it kind of makes you think a lot. Even knowing what happened, I really enjoyed my experience reading it again, and it's a book that I probably wouldn't be surprised if I reread yearly. It's quite short, it's very easy to get through, and it's fast-paced while you're reading, so it is very, very exciting. The second book that I read is called Our Story, Aboriginal Voices on Canada's Past. And so this is not exactly what I thought it was. So when I first picked this up, I thought it was just sort of like a collection of short stories based on things that had happened, or essays based on things that had happened, or events in Canada's past, but that wasn't exactly what it was about. It was very interesting. It ended up being sort of each author would take a typical story that you would maybe find in the Bible, or just a general myth that kids generally know about growing up, and then they sort of flip it on its head and tell the indigenous version of that story, or the similarity in terms of an indigenous tale that is similar. So I really ended up enjoying it. It did, I find, get a little bit sort of redundant, not in the tales that it was telling, but there was a 4 or 5 page introduction leading into the tale for every single story, and as much as I appreciated learning what I didn't already know, hearing how the story has changed and progressed in the Western world for stories that I'm quite familiar with, didn't always feel like I was learning. I just wanted to get to the part where it was the indigenous version, or the indigenous equivalent. So there was that issue in it, but again, I really did enjoy it, and I would highly recommend you pick it up if you're interested in something like this, because like I said, I did feel like I was learning quite a bit, and I would happily go back to it in the future. Then I read Full Metal Alchemist Volume 1. One of my friends lent this to me. I had watched the anime in high school with a former boyfriend, and I really love the anime. It's something, probably the only anime that I've ever watched fully, and I just have such fond memories of the anime. And so when she said she had all the manga, I was so excited. So I read the first manga, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's about 2 brothers who are alchemists, and one of them is Full Metal. He is a soul in a metal robot body, and they just go and fight evil, and there's this evil guy who has the 7 deadly sins who come out to fight them, and it's just so delightful. I would say I probably enjoy the anime a little bit more than the reading experience, but I did really have a good time with it, and I'd be interested in continuing on if I don't ever watch the anime again. From there, I read Radicalized by Cory Doctorow, which was longlisted and then shortlisted for the Canada Reads Prize this year. I will have a review up on my channel in the next few days, but the short and sweet of it is that I see the point and the concept of this collection of novellas. Cory Doctorow sort of takes an issue that, is plaguing American society and sort of pushes the envelope and pushes it to the extreme and kind of says what if with them. But I just felt like they fell a little bit short. I found more often there are 4 novellas. I guess I would say with half of them there were 2 that I really wished we could have just gotten a whole novel with the characters, because I think that there was something so beautiful there, and the novella kind of made it fall a bit short for me. And then there were 2 other novellas where I just kind of was, not really feeling it. So I will make a whole review about that, and it will be up sometime soon, going a bit deeper into why and which ones if you're interested. But I do think that this book is a bit of a toss-up. Either you're really going to like it, or you might be like me where half of them were really great and you saw so much potential, and then the other half were just, they almost read like completely different tones and different styles. And I get that maybe that was the point with 4 novellas in one book, but it just, they kind of seemed a bit out of place. So like I said, a full review will be coming. When that happens, I will leave it linked down below. And then I read The Latte Factor by David Buck and John David Mann. I have a review of this. It is a personal finance book. It's just a short little thing. And it talks about personal finance. Since doing that review, I think my feelings have sort of shifted a little bit. I've been sort of thinking about what it means to be privileged enough to follow the advice of self-help personal finance books, and that kind of really just, is sitting a bit uneasily with me. So for now, the review is up. I don't think I will take it down. I think in the future I might reread the book and maybe come at it with a different perspective. But it is this sort of, it's a personal finance book, but it's kind of told with a fictional slant. So there's this woman that we follow, and she's living paycheck to paycheck, even though she has this really high-paying job, and the crux is that she really wants this painting but she can't afford it. And then there's also this job that's offering her more money, and she's thinking about taking it, but then she meets this man who shows her how to be good with money in 3 easy steps. And it sounds pretty gimmicky, but I did manage to get quite a lot out of that book. So like I said, I will leave the review linked down below in case you're interested, and in the future I might come back at it with a different perspective as I've been thinking about all of these things. And then the final book that I read this month is called Strange Things Done, and it's by Elle Wilde. This takes place in the Yukon, and it is this sort of like murder mystery thriller story about this woman, Jo, who shows up in the Yukon because she's kind of let everything go to shit in Vancouver. And so she shows up, she's going to be the new reporter in the town. The town has like 1,000 people, and coincidentally, as she gets there, somebody goes missing. And as she's digging, the people in town are trying to cover things up, and she's kind of the prime suspect because she just got here and she left in a hurry from her other job, and it's really suspenseful. But I did find I could predict what was going to happen probably from about 30% in, and it all happened, and there weren't very many twists that I didn't see coming. And I also felt like maybe the writing was a little bit juvenile. This isn't by any means a teen or children's book. It is adult fiction, but I did find that just the characterization of some of these people who are supposed to be in their late 20s, early 30s, they were just written a bit simply. It wasn't really that they had lots of layers or you know, they weren't very nuanced. So I enjoyed my experience with it. When I think about it, it was fun and exciting, but I do think perhaps reflecting on it now that I did want maybe a little bit more from it, having read a couple of thrillers in the past that have really just knocked my socks off. I don't know if this is one of those. If you read any of these books, let me know. If you want to talk about any of these books in the comments down below, I would be happy to. And I will see you soon with another video. Bye.